Welcome to episode 1 of the Technically Free Agents podcast, where number 1, we're here to have fun, to entertain ourselves and hopefully entertain our viewers out there. And number 2, we just want to make sure that it's abundantly clear to all the GMs and all the owners who may be watching this right now that Dylan and I are technically free agents and we are available to play professionally for your teams. We just want to make that abundantly clear. But I'm your co-host, Brandon Farley, and I'm joined here by my other co-host,
Seymour Butts on the mic.
See more butts. I didn't know he was going to go with that, everybody. We are ecstatic to be bringing you to episode 1 of the TFA pod. We got a jam-packed episode for you today. The agenda is packed. We got to dive into the NBA playoffs. We're going to do a little bit of a recap of the 2024 NFL draft because it was loaded with storylines, surprises. Oh, yeah. Some teams are going up. Some teams' draft stock's going down. And then we're going to finish it off. Dylan and I are going to put together a compilation of the last 24 NFL drafts. We're going to build a team of elite players based off of only blue chip prospects who are taken in the top 5. But Dylan, we got to start it off with the NBA playoffs. We're going right through the thick of it. The first round is almost all but over. One matchup left to go. Give me your thoughts so far on the playoffs. What's been standing out to you? What have you been noticing?
It's been exciting. For the most part, actually, it's been a little bit boring, I must say. But the NBA playoffs first round, and nothing really new there. But the Knicks-Sixers round of playoffs was maybe the most exciting round of basketball I've watched outside of the Warriors in the past couple of years. I liked it. The Knicks move on. They play the Pacers. That's a whole different story, by the way. The Pacers beating the Bucks. I feel a certain type of way about Giannis. I feel a certain type of way about Damian Lillard. But overall, it's been a pretty decent NBA playoffs. How have you felt?
I agree. The first round of the playoffs, right? The NBA is the most consistent sport as far as the favorites generally win. So the first round, you don't expect a ton. You hope for great matchups here and there. We're seeing a good one with the Clippers and Mavericks. We're seeing a good one with the Clippers and Mavericks and the Cavaliers and Magic on the Eastern Conference side. But at the West, we saw what we expected. We saw the domination from the top. The Thunder sweep the Pelicans out of there. The Timberwolves sweep the Suns out of there. And the Nuggets take care of the Lakers in 5, although I will give the Lakers a little bit of credit. They played well enough for that series to go to 6, maybe even arguably 7. They blew a couple big leads. Jamal Murray had a couple amazing game-winning shots. So they played a competitive series for going down to 5, but we saw what we expected out of the West. And for the most part, we've seen what we expected out of the East. Celtics take care of business. The Knicks take care of business against the Sixers, who didn't have their team together most of the season. They didn't get that opportunity to gel, but we did see some surprises. The Pacers taking out the Bucks in the first round. What's your thoughts on that? You talked about Dame. You talked about Giannis. How did you feel about that opening round matchup with the Bucks and Pacers?
I just can't believe it, man. The Bucks did all of this stuff in the offseason to go get Damian Lillard. They came, everyone was hyping them up all offseason, even into the season, and they go out and they lose in the first round. The only thing I'm thinking about from this specific matchup is what's gonna happen? Oh shit! I went to Brandon. We're new here. What is gonna happen with Giannis? What is gonna happen with Damian Lillard? Is Giannis gonna come to the Warriors? Because I sure hope he does. And if he leaves the Bucks, where is Damian Lillard gonna go? Would he follow? I imagine he wouldn't want to stick around when the superstar leaves, right?
I am definitely gonna keep my eyes on the Bucks. I feel like the team's going to come back together for one more year, right? I mean, Giannis misses the first round. Dame is battling injuries, right? So we didn't get to see the full-strength Bucks. They're obviously a much better team than the Pacers were fortunate enough to get to play this version of. But I got one more thing that you didn't mention that's really top of mind for me. I got a Doc Rivers rant for you. Oh. I am the lowest of low on Doc Rivers. This guy has been given great roster after great roster. He keeps getting these teams, and he is a perennial choke artist in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen his teams blow 3-1 leads. We've seen him lose game 7s historically year over year. I mean, he is literally, I had to go into it and research for this pod and look through his history. I mean, even this Bucks team, he took over a team that was 30-13, and with Doc, the team went 17-19. It's unbelievable, and I just can't understand how this guy keeps getting hired. I mean, he wins a championship in 2008 with the Boston Celtics with 3 Hall of Famers who are all in the later stage of their prime window between KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen. They got a young emerging star in Rondo. I mean, that team was loaded, right? He wins one championship 16 years ago, and he's continuously getting hired year after year and blowing it with really strong rosters. The Clippers teams, you know what? I'm sorry. I got to ramble a little bit. I got to go through the playoff record of Doc Rivers here. Career-wise, Doc Rivers lost in the first round, lost in the first round, lost in the first round, lost in the first round. Then he wins the title with the Celtics. Then they lose in the second round. They lose in the finals. They lose in the second round. They lose in the finals. Then he loses first round, second round, second round, first round, first round, first round, second round, second round, second round, second round, first round. This guy has never done well in the playoffs, and he's always had good teams. The Clippers teams were good. The Celtics teams were elite. There were 60-win teams. The Sixers, when he had them with Joel, with Harden, with Ben Simmons, those are great teams. And this Bucks team is loaded with stars. Explain it to me, Dylan. I just don't get it. Why does he keep getting hired?
That was a rant and a half. My goodness. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So just to clarify, you think he's a really good coach, right?
Don't. Just explain to me. How does he keep getting hired? I don't get it.
I mean, he's been a well above average coach, at least in the regular season for his entire career. Sure, he has a bad record in the playoffs, but I hate to break it to you, I don't have many insights to NBA commissioners or front offices or even scouts, so I can't tell you how he keeps getting hired. But tell you what, Bucks, if you're looking for someone who can give you the same record in the playoffs, hire me.
Seriously.
This guy.
I'd be Celtics. I will warn you, don't do that. Bucks.
No, it's a bad idea.
But I mean, even looking at his most recent playoff appearances, here's his win-loss record: 2-4, 3-4, 2-4, 7-6, 7-5, 6-6, 7-4, 2-4. I mean, it's unreal. It's well below 500. His career playoff win-loss record is 113 and 108. Again, he's really been given this entire career based off of a couple elite rosters that he had in the Boston years. And I don't get it. I don't want to make the whole episode about him. I don't know if it's just because of his raspy voice that I can't stand listening to, or the constant deflection in credit and / blame that he keeps always deflecting off it onto others. There's something about Doc that really rubs me the wrong way, and I just don't understand. I knew when the Bucks hired him, I thought it was a huge mistake. And again, from 30-13 to 17-19 with him as the coach in the regular season, and then an out in the first round to a 6 seed. I mean, injuries or not, I just don't feel like this guy gets his teams to play together and gel and believe in him.
I feel like if you ever win one championship, though, people will always come back and give you another shot. It's a tough thing to do. Not many people can say they've done it. He has, and we're seeing people give him the opportunity. So whether it works or not, he knows enough, and he's a good enough coach to have done that. Granted, that was 15 years ago or whatever. Not great at math. Welcome to the show. But yeah, it's a good point to bring up. But tell you what, that was a great clip. We're gonna clip that, and chat's gonna be all over it. We're probably gonna get thousands of comments and likes.
Well, you gave me a good segue there, actually, because you said it. A coach wins a championship, and they kind of get this extended career resume for life, right? But I actually want to point at the Suns, because that's a series I want to talk about. They got Frank Vogel. He won a title with the Lakers in 2020 in the COVID bubble. He got boosted 1 year. He got kicked out of the team 1 year later. He gets fired there. It seems like he's probably going to get fired from the Suns by the type of media reporting we're seeing right now. But I'm like, is it just a Doc thing? Like, I don't know if every coach gets that. I know a lot of coaches get that extended career runway. If they've won a title, they got the resume. But we don't see it across the board. But I did want to talk about that T-Wolves Suns round. And there's a couple players within the NBA playoffs that I want to talk about right now. But the first one I think everybody's talking about is Anthony Edwards.
I mean, my God, guys!
What he just did to the Suns in that round, I think he's taking the NBA by storm right now. And in my mind, I thought for sure we were going to see Celtics Nuggets in the finals. After watching that series with the Suns and watching Ant play the way he played, I actually think there's a chance here that the T-Wolves are able to take out the defending champ Nuggets in the second round. I think it's a tall order, but I've just been so impressed by Anthony Edwards and what I've seen from him. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that.
On Anthony Edwards, I mean, this guy he's a bona fide freak, dude. I don't think anyone expected him to be this good, even though he was he was the number 1 overall draft pick for a reason, right? Right? Was he number 1 or number 2?
Yeah, number 1.
He was number 1. The guy is just an athletic phenom, and he's someone that literally just looks and feels like Michael Jordan. He's the only one that has had that same fluidity and just dominant athleticism and ability to get to the hoop and also play behind the arc. He does it all, and he put on a effing clinic in front of the Suns, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and he was talking shit the whole time.
He's got that dog in him.
He really does.
He's got the charisma. He's good looking. He's got the beautiful, like skillful, artistic type of skill moves and jump shot. And then he's got those fuck you power dunks that are just like unbelievable. I mean, he's got 5 of the top 8 dunks of the NBA season this year. I love this kid. And the Michael Jordan comparison, a lot of people are saying it. I see it. And that's a tall, tall compliment from me. I mean, I hold MJ in the highest regard. And man, Ant right now is so fun to watch. And I got to say, it really, really pains me to know that the Warriors had the second pick in that draft. And the Timberwolves, if they had just taken James Wiseman, imagining Anthony Edwards on this current Warriors team, oh my God.
It would be unbelievable, dude. He is.
We definitely would
truly
have still
something
won in
else.
2022, and we definitely would have been like a 1 or a 2 seed this year. I mean, picturing Ant on this current Warriors team, it really pains me to know the T-Wolves didn't blow that pick. I mean, I guess credit to the T-Wolves, but you could have done us a solid there.
I mean, dude, this guy. Just look at. We'll watch a couple highlights just to show the audience who we're talking about, in case you didn't remember what his name and what he looks like. He flies through the sky. He comes through jumping, monking, and flumping, and I don't know what I'm even saying anymore. But this guy just gets me out of my
keep
chair.
practicing that.
I'll try. He takes me from a dangle to a straight piece of wood. I'll tell you that much. Anyways,
It's dude, I mean, it's unbelievable the power dunks he has, and like it's like coming straight downward from the fucking skies, dude. I mean, the dunk he had in Game 4, he drives by Bradley Beal on the perimeter. Beal's chasing and flailing his arms out, trying to slow him down. KD tries to contest it, and he just goes right over him and dunks it down on his head. And KD just tries to get out of the way at the end. I mean, yeah, we're seeing the evolution of something special here. And if he takes out Jokic and the Nuggets in round 2. We're going into full-blown media superstardom, and everybody's going to be talking about this kid left and right. Really exciting player.
yeah, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about round 2 between the Wolves and the Nuggets? I think it's going to be an insane round of playoffs.
It's got to be the series to watch, right? I mean, the Celtics are going to get the winner of the Cavs and Magic. I can't imagine the Celtics are going to struggle there. So they're going to they're going to take care of business there. Knicks, Pacers. I think both teams are. Yeah, I think the Knicks are good, but not amazing. They're not elite. If they had Jalen Brunson, maybe they would be in that elite category. So I think they'll take care of the Pacers because the Pacers are, again, they're a justifiable 6 seed. The T-Wolves Nuggets is by far the series to watch. I mean, the Thunder. I'm thinking that the Mavs are going to finish off the Clips tonight. So I'm thinking Thunder Mavs. I think that'll be an interesting series just because Luka and Kyrie are so good. I could see them winning 2 games. I can't see it going past 6, though. The Thunder are going to take care of it. So, yeah, I mean, T-Wolves Nuggets. I'm still taking the Nuggets if I have to pick right now, and I'm picking them in 6 or 7. But I will not be shocked if the T-Wolves get out of that just based on the growth we're seeing from Ant and the team camaraderie that we're seeing. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns has willingly taken a backseat to Ant and playing the number 2 role well. Gobert, McDaniels, great defenders. Mike Conley, they really got a complete team. So, gun to head right now, Celtics, Knicks get through easily, Thunder get through easily, and I would take the Nuggets, but I'm thinking Timberwolves got a realistic shot here. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know who I have going out of that series there, but I will tell you this. Whoever wins that matchup is winning the NBA championship. I'll write that. I'll book it right now. I think that those are the 2 best teams in the NBA. Maybe not in the regular season or across the whole season. They weren't the best teams, but right now I think those 2 are the best that the NBA has to offer. You got Jokic on the Nuggets. The guy can't be stopped. And you got Anthony Edwards on the Wolves, who's playing out of his mind like we just talked about. So I'm lacing it down right here, right now, looking to the camera, talk to you specifically, Johnny from Minnesota. Congratulations. If the Timberwolves win, you are an NBA champion.
And that is the least official banner you'll ever get, by the way, because that is not how it works.
That might.
I hear you. I think the winner of that series is a great chance. I think the Thunder are a great team, and I think I was underestimating them a little bit coming into the playoffs. I think watching that round 1 sweep of the Pelicans, a Zionless Pelicans, but watching that, I was like, you know what, maybe I'm sleeping on these guys a little too hard. They're the 1 seed for a reason, but they're young, they're inexperienced, they haven't been in the playoffs.
But talk about camaraderie, dude. You were mentioning that on the Wolves, the team camaraderie. You look at the Thunder, these guys love each other, and it shines through the screen. I mean, you can just tell that these guys all like each other. They're all playing for the guy next to them, and they're just having fun doing it. And they're really, really good at what they do as well. It's hard for me to doubt the Thunder, but yeah, I stand by what I said.
No, the Thunder are a really well constructed team, and they're only going to get better, which is what's really terrifying. Nobody on that team is old. Jalen Williams is in year 2. Chet Holmgren's in year 2, or maybe Jay Williams year 3. SGA is still entering the prime of his career, which is insane because he's probably a top 3 or 4 MVP voter. I was going to say I wanted to give our flowers to a couple other players in the playoffs because we focused a lot on Ant, but Jalen Brunson coming out of the East. I mean, I think he's going to finish in the top 5 in the MVP voting, so he's getting the attention he deserves. There's a few games this year where I watched him in the regular season, especially against the Warriors, where I was just floored. I was like, I don't know how many people in the NBA can guard him, if any. But watching what he did against the Sixers was so impressive, and it's just unbelievable to see a guy of that size and that stature taking over in the NBA, where, sorry to say, physical genetics matter a lot in the NBA. You know, the length and the arm and the wingspan are so important, and Jalen Brunson is just defying all that. He is just unbelievable player.
Yeah, I mean, look, 41 points, 13 to 27 from the field, 3 3-pointers. You're getting 12 assists. That's a double-double right there, and it got them enough points and to win the game and move on to the next series. This guy
51 minutes played in that game. There's only 48 minutes in a game, so obviously that game went to overtime. But I mean, 51 minutes played in a game by one guy. I mean, he is the team right now, right?
I can't do many things for 50 minutes. I don't think I can do anything for 50 minutes. Maybe watch a movie.
Yeah, I think Jalen Brunson, I was so impressed with him in round 1. I've been impressed with him the last 2 years, but I think he's taking it to another level, and I don't think anybody was putting him in their top 10, definitely not top 5 player in the NBA list before this season. He's very much in that consideration right now. I mean, almost guaranteed top 10, and I mean, he's looking like he's potentially a top 5 guy in the league.
You think he gets the national attention he deserves?
I mean, it's...
Because I say no.
I think he's getting the national attention, but the key that I'm focusing on there is that he deserves. I don't know if he's getting enough, and I think if he has another second round like he did the first round, it'll be hard to avoid, right? There's only going to be 4 teams left in the NBA, and everybody's going to be talking about who's in it and who's doing what, and there's no way the Knicks continue to win without Brunson playing the way he is. No. So I think if he's not already getting it, he will be soon.
Yeah, that's fair, which is surprising, right? Because he's in the New York media. So, I mean, when you're doing well, they praise you. When you're doing bad, they will rip you apart. And it's one of the biggest
media markets.
Yeah, media markets in all of basketball. So you say he's a top 5 player. It's hard to deny that. I just don't think a casual basketball. What?
I'm not ready to put him in top 5.
Well, you said top 5 in the MVP this season.
Yes. Oh, yes, for sure. But that doesn't mean you're a top 5 player in the league, right? Like,
No, sure. And yeah, I don't know. It's just surprising that, because I don't think the casual basketball fan really knows all that much about him. Maybe because the Knicks haven't been like great in the past handful of years. But like you said, I think if he moves on to the next round, that's going to change. I mean, it even could change now. He is developing into a superstar right in front of our very own eyes.
Yeah. Now, there's one last thing I feel like we just have kind of breezed over throughout this conversation is we have not touched on the Boston Celtics much. You, in particular, kind of glossed over them by saying you think whoever wins Nuggets, Timberwolves, like it's over. They're winning. The Celtics won 64 games this year. This is a really, really good team. Their net rating is historically good. They're one of the 3 best net rating teams in NBA history in the regular season. The other 2 teams, the 72-win Bulls, the 73-win Warriors. So this is statistically an unbelievably elite team that I think because there's such a little challenge to them in the Eastern Conference, they really haven't gotten that much attention, and we haven't seen them play the best of the best in the West enough this year, right? They're mostly playing the Eastern Conference teams, and it makes them a little bit hard to evaluate, but I don't want to sleep on them. I want to give them the respect they deserve. I will not be surprised if the Celtics win the championship. I mean, I fully expect them to be in the finals, and I think we're sleeping on them a little bit by not expecting them to potentially be the best team in the playoffs right now, and it doesn't feel like they get that kind of attention, but maybe it's just because the whole world and the whole country is waiting for them to get a real challenge, and we haven't seen that yet.
I'm telling you why they're not going to win it here. Just look at the screen.
Tell me.
Choke, 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 super choke, 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 choke. It's just not going to happen for them. You know what? You know what would win them a championship? A new coach. A guy by the name Doc Rivers.
Stop.
Wouldn't that be
cancel
something?
the pod right now.
No, I don't know.
You want to talk about free agents. Doc Rivers should be a free agent. Let's put it that way.
He should be, dude. Yeah, it's starting power forward. No, I just don't see them doing it. I don't know why, but they should have beat the Warriors a couple of years ago. Like, they should have, but they didn't, because Steph Curry is something special, something the league will never see again. They should have won a few times in here.
Tatum choked.
Yeah, Tatum super choked. And Brown, I mean, I feel like he was just okay. They didn't perform how they did during the regular season. Was he good?
I pushed back a little bit.
Okay.
I think Jaylen Brown was actually really good in the finals. I think Tatum's the one who really dropped the ball in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big conversation point, to be honest, that we haven't touched on. But I mean, Jason Tatum, he's one of those guys who I think everybody has for sure in the top 10 in the NBA. And he's kind of at the back end of that maybe top 5 conversation. But I don't think that anyone confidently puts him there because he's never done it in the finals. And you got to think that he might be the hungriest player in the playoffs right now. He has the most legacy on the line, I would say, of anybody left in the playoffs. Jokic has done it. He's proved it. Nobody's expecting the Knicks and Brunson to do it, so he'll skate by without winning it. It's too early for the Thunder. It's too early for the T-Wolves. The Celtics are the one where if you don't win it right now, this is your window, and the fingers are going to start getting pointed at Tatum if they can't finish this.
Yeah, no question. And right now he's doing it. He's averaging 21.8, 10 defensive rebounds a game, 10.4 total. He's putting up some assists. I mean, everyone knows the guy can ball out, right? That's not the question. But can he ball out when it matters most?
3-point percentage.
What is that?
42% from the field and 29 from three is actually not good. I mean, we're talking 5 games here, but I would love to see those percentages be higher. Those are not elite player percentages shooting wise.
Well, let's compare it to how he was last year. Oh, shoot. There we go. Last year, pretty similar, honestly.
23% from three?
Yeah.
Gross.
So maybe that's his downfall, is his 3-point percentage in the playoffs. Maybe we discovered something here live on the Technically Free Agents podcast. What do you think?
You heard it here first. Like and subscribe.
Oh wait, that was only one series. So let's check out let's check out everything.
Excuse my friend.
So he bumped it up a little bit, but still
32 is gross. I mean, it's not 23% gross, but it's gross. Like
still
especially on
pretty
8.2 attempts per game. 8.2, you shoot 32%. That's extremely inefficient. And honestly, that's the kind of shit that frustrates anybody as a teammate. It's it's the worst when when one of your teammates is just hucking up shots and they're not hitting them. They're wasted possessions.
Yeah.
39% there.
40%, that's a little bit more respectable.
That's more than a little respectable. That's what we want. That's a sweet spot right there. If you're shooting 40% or better from three, you're a great 3-point shooter.
Okay, so your cutoff is what, 38?
Yeah, I think 37, I would say you got to guard him, right? You got to respect him. You can't leave him alone. Once you get to 39, 40 and above, that's lethal, and you got to watch out.
Yeah. So that was what we looked at. This was against the Warriors. This was in the NBA championship.
Whoa, 45% from three, but 36% overall.
Not good.
How do you shoot that well from three and that much lower overall? Oh my gosh.
Dude, I feel like there was a game where he had like 7 points. And it was like, I think game 6 of the championship where he just
I remember him
crumbled.
being
it's right here. We're looking at it.
Yeah.
Where's the points?
Well,
right here. 13
just go to that
points.
Whole series. Just stay there.
13 points right here.
3 for 17 in game 1. 3 for 17 in game 1.
That is not great. 6 for 18. I mean, that's not much better, dude.
8 for 23, 9 for 20. Those are bad.
Yeah, this is.
I mean, that's how you shoot whatever it was in the low 30 percentages and field goal percentage. I mean, that's bad. I want my top scorer shooting at least 48% from the field. The only way I'm okay with less than that is if a lot of your shot attempts are 3-pointers and you're hitting them, which the fact that he shot 45% from three and shot that low overall, I mean, oh my God, he's missing everything at the rim. His mid-range is not working. That's pretty shocking stat.
Yeah, not great. Not great at all. Shoot.
So you don't believe in the Celtics team. So you don't see them going all the way. Is that what I'm hearing?
Hang on. Technical difficulties. We're going to cut this out.
All right, Del. Well, the last thing I'm going to leave here is I think the best is yet to come for the NBA playoffs. It's been good so far. We've seen some great games, some great game winners. I'm really excited for round 2. I think that's where we're really going to start seeing the best of the best facing off against each other. But it's time to move on. I want to recap the 2024 NFL draft with you. We saw a lot. We saw a lot go on. Man, is it sweet for a position that you and I are in. Our Niners, by far one of the best teams in the NFL. By most people's standards, top 2 or 3 at least. We're not as worried about the top of the draft, which is a great feeling to be, but you can still add to your team, and there's a lot of teams that are in the rebuild mode right now. They are really focused on the draft and the assets that they're getting. First 14 picks we saw in this NFL draft, all offensive players. 6 of the first 12 were quarterbacks. So I was going to ask you, to start off, first 14 picks being offense, do you think that has something to do with the trajectory of the game itself in the modern NFL, or do you think that's just random and coincidental?
I think it had more so to do with how stacked this draft class was, specifically at the offensive position. Not saying the defense was bad, but this offensive class was special. There were enough guys to fill out multiple NFL roster slots, and it showed. Like, these guys went and got their guy, and it felt like everyone got the guy that they wanted for the most part. But I think it also shows that the NFL, like you said, it's an offensive guided game. It's purely about the offense. The defense gets penalized for everything. We're going to see that more so than ever this year with the hip drop tackle being banned. They are trying to punish the defense while praise and raise up the offense, and it's as obvious as ever. And I think the GMs are onto that.
I mostly agree with you. I do agree that the first 14 picks being offense, I think it's just coincidental. I don't think the GMs are saying, oh, we got to focus only on offensive players because that's the way the game's going. I think it just happened to turn out that the best 14 prospects were offensive players, and that's the way the GMs drafted. So random, maybe that's more of a sign of the youth that we're seeing right now. Maybe that's sign more of like prospects coming up from Pee Wee to high school to college. Maybe they're more focused on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe the best players are maybe nowadays more prone to play offense than they were defense, maybe historically. Maybe that's the symptom or the result of the symptom that we're seeing with this draft class. But yeah, I mean, a lot of skill position players. Like I said, 6 of the first 12 were quarterbacks. 3-4 receivers in there, a tight end in there. Only 4 of them were offensive linemen. Obviously, tackle is usually the position of preference when you're drafting that high in the first round. So I thought that really stood out. You know, my own alum, Oregon, Bo Nix, quarterback. I didn't know where he was going to go in this draft. I was surprised to see he went as high as he did. Not because I didn't think he's that caliber of a player, but just from the hype I'd been hearing about him over the years, I wasn't sure where the teams evaluated him. I did watch him a lot this year, and I thought I saw an NFL quarterback when I watched him play. I hope he does well with Sean Payton and the Broncos. Was there any pick in that top 15 range, in particular about these offensive players we're talking about, that really stood out to you? Any prospects in particular that you really loved at this group?
That I really loved or that I was surprised?
Let's start with the loved, because I got some surprises of my own that I want to dive into next.
That I really loved? I think Joe Alt is going to be a Hall of Fame tackle for this Chargers team. He's got God, fishing, and football in his bio of his Twitter page. He doesn't care about looking good. He doesn't care about being drippy or the flashiest player. He cares about smacking your ass on the ground, right on the booty, and being an all-time player. And I think that's who he is. I mean, the guy... What? He's got to be like a 6'7".
He's 6'9".
Nature. He's 6'9".
6'9".
Oh boy, dude. Yeah, this guy. I mean, 6'9", 322 pounds, mobile on the feet. He can drop back and pass coverage. He can push you on your butt and run. I mean, the guy can do it all, and I think he's going to be the person that we look back on this draft class and be like, wow, that kind of was a steal at the 4th or the 5th overall slot for the Chargers.
That pick stood out to me too. I love that pick. I mean, an offensive tackle that's athletic and fluid, but has that kind of wingspan and length. I mean, that's going to be, if he turns into the type of player that obviously the Chargers hope he will, that's going to be someone that edge rushers are going to hate. And that's a division that's got players like Max Crosby in it. You know, Chris Jones from the Chiefs, right? So who doesn't love an extremely loud ad in their ears? But you know what? In particular, I think what I like about this pick is it goes to Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh is a man who knows how to use the offensive line. He had a great quote. A lot of people were asking him a lot of fans were hoping the Chargers would draft a weapon. And by that, they assumed the skill positions, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers.
And what did he say, Brandon?
Harbaugh's response: offensive lineman is a weapon.
Oh, spooky.
And I love that. I mean, you and I watched Harbaugh up close and personal with the Niners for years, and we had a dominant, bruising, physical run game, bruising, physical defense. And what just happened at Michigan? They won the championship with a ground and pound run game that was up your mouth, running it down your throat, and tough physical defense. It's just the Harbaugh way, and it works. I don't know why more teams are afraid of this. Even the Niners, who people think of as kind of finessey with the great play calling and system by Shanahan, we're a run-first team, and we have a bruising physical defense that John Lynch put together. This works. Not everybody's going to have Mahomes, and if you don't have a Mahomes or an absolute superstar quarterback, win like this. Win on the ground, win with the run game, win with the defense. I like this pick for the Chargers as well.
Yeah, he's really good. And I know you were super high on one guy right here. MHJ.
Love him. Yeah. Love everything about him.
Why is
I think this guy's going to be special. And honestly, I think the Chargers probably would have taken him if he'd fallen to them. I think they might have been hoping for that. As much as Harbaugh loves a great offensive lineman, with losing Keenan Allen, with losing Mike Williams, that would have been the perfect fit because you've got a Hall of Fame potential quarterback in Justin Herbert, who right now is kind of weaponless. I mean, Austin Eckler's gone, right? Like,
yeah, they all left.
They're somewhat in a rebuild mode. He would have been probably, I'm guessing, but I think he would have been their dream pick. But I think he's a stud. Do you not feel the same? What's your feeling on MHJ?
No, I mean, I think he's a freak of nature. There were so many good wide receivers in this draft class. I just don't know if he was leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of them, but someone's got to be picked first. He was projected potentially to go first overall in some mock drafts like months ago. The guy can do it all. He feels sort of like a me first kind of guy, but I don't know. I mean, he could not be. I totally could be wrong on that. But that's just kind of what I'm picking up. He kind of showed that a little bit at Ohio State. And he was much better as a player 2 years ago than he was last year. I'm like 99% sure. But I like him. I think he's going to do well in that offense with Kyler Murray. It's a big year for Kyler Murray to figure it out with this team. If he can't figure it out with an offense like this, with Marvin Harrison Jr., you got James Conner in the backfield. You got, I guess they just lost Hollywood Brown actually to the Chiefs. So not sure who else they really have out there. But it's kind of a moment for this Cardinals team to kind of get it together.
Low expectations for Cardinals this year. I actually think
Yeah.
that their coach Gannon did a good job last year. I think Kyler Murray gets a little bit more hate than he deserves. Like the whole Call of Duty contract thing, I think really threw out the social media haters on him. I don't expect much from the Cardinals this year, but I like the pick. I mean, I saw an interview. It was Chris Olave, it was Garrett Wilson, and I want to say there's a third Ohio State receiver who I'm forgetting, who are great players in the NFL right now, already proven. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was a true freshman on the team when they were in their junior and senior years. And a reporter asked them, which of you two, and I feel like there was a third that I'm forgetting, was the best receiver? And they said Marvin Harrison Jr. as a true freshman. So those are guys who are dominating the NFL. Garrett Wilson's a stud. Chris Olave is a stud. So I'm like, what they saw as this guy's a true freshman 3 years ago, that makes me think a lot. I'm a huge fan of his dad. I watched a ton of Colts games growing up. I was a huge Colts fan. And Marvin Harrison Sr. was unbelievable, and Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got 4 inches of height on him.
Damn.
I like the pick. Yeah, I think he's going to be a stud, and I think Larry Fitzgerald is an accurate comp for him based on the body control and like the fluid and like just the coordination and everything he has. And then he happens to go to the Cardinals, which is ironic. So we'll see. I could be wrong on it. I do like that pick, but like you said, there was other great receivers here. I mean, Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors. Any of those stand out to you as players that you preferred over MHJ, or at least kept in that same tier?
I mean, I don't know if I preferred them, but you look here, they gave Malik Neighbors 0.03 higher of a prospect grade than Marvin Harrison Jr. Does that really mean anything? Not really. But it is just interesting that, he went 6th overall, this guy went 4th, but he's projected to be better. So how does that work? But someone I was actually really surprised to see drop so far was... Okay, he's not on this sheet. But Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. This guy was projected to be one of the top tier wide receivers coming out of this draft. And he fell all the way down to 52. 52. And I don't know why that is. I think he does have attitude problems. We saw that in the... here he is, 6.35. We saw that in the playoff game against the Washington Huskies, where he was not getting the ball enough. He started yelling on the sidelines, going, "Where the hell is the ball?" But guess what happened? He got the ball, and he scored a touchdown immediately. So this is a guy that can come in and he can change games. But I was just surprised that he went so low, second round, pick 20. Do you know anything about this guy?
I don't know a ton about him, but that is an interesting analysis. I didn't watch a lot of his tape. Like I said, I think, again, fortunately, in years past with the Niners, I was very focused on the draft when we were trying to build a great roster. It's nice this year to just trust that our roster is awesome and we're just adding some complementary pieces. So going deeper into the draft and going into like second and third round prospects, I didn't have as much interest in that as this year as I maybe had in years past. There was one other pick I was curious to get your opinion on, because I personally hated it. And by hate, I mean like for the team, hate for us as Niners fans. It was Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs. I hated that they traded up right in front of us. With the fact that the Niners ended up going receiver, maybe the Chiefs were feeling that we were somebody that could have taken him first. And the funny part is, I don't generally like the super skinny, super speed guys, like, the John Rosses. Like, I don't really usually care about your 4.2, 4.40 time. I mean, it's impressive, but I don't usually think those guys translate as well to the NFL. But with this guy running the fastest 40 in NFL history, going to the Chiefs is the one team where I think he actually can be super lethal, because we saw Tyreek Hill do it. They know how to use a player like that, and Mahomes is the right kind of quarterback for that. That scares me.
Yeah, well, Xavier Worthy played on the opposite side of Adonai Mitchell. They were a lethal duo in college. I think both of them can be great at the next level. And, you brought up that you don't typically like these speed guys, kind of a small build, whatever. All of that goes out the window as soon as you realize that your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. They're going to utilize this guy to the nth degree. And not only because he's a freak, but also because Rashee Rice is expected to be gone and suspended for at least half the season after his off-the-field incidents.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so they're going to throw this guy right into the mix immediately. I think from the jump, he's going to be their number one receiver. You got Travis Kelce at tight end, of course, but he's aging. He's not going to be this good forever. When is the season going to be when he kind of falls off? We sort of saw it last season. It's going to continue to be that way as we go into the future. And I love this pick for the Chiefs, and I hate it so much because we hate the Chiefs in this household. We're Brock Purdy, baby.
I respect the Chiefs. I respect Mahomes. I respect Kelsey. I really respect Andy Reid. I don't want to see them getting better. They've robbed us of 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. And there's a very, very, very good chance that that's the kind of team that's going to come out of the AFC again this year. I think the Niners, in my eyes, are by far the favorites coming out of the NFC. I don't want to see them get better. I don't want to see another Tyreek Hill in a Chiefs uniform. So like I said, you summed it up nicely. I don't generally like the smaller build guys. He could have gone to any other team, and I would have said, I don't like it. The Chiefs are the one team that scares me. So kudos to them if he ends up working out. I really hope he doesn't. He probably will. Damn it.
I know.
Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they strike again.
I hate it. I hate it.
What do you think about Caleb Williams? We haven't even talked about the first pick in the draft. Some people saying he's a generational prospect. You and I have talked about him a little bit offline, but do you feel like he's that type of prospect, quarterback-wise? Do you think he's in that category of a Burrow, a Manning, a Luck, John Elway, right? I mean, do you feel like he's there? Where do you put Caleb in your kind of prospect rankings?
Yeah, I mean, I think he is the best player in the draft and went number 1 overall for a reason. Not only is he the best player in the draft, he's going into an incredible situation in Chicago where they just beefed up a wide receiver in the offseason. They drafted Rome Odunze as their second pick in the first round. They have DeAndre. Oh my God, why am I blanking? They just beefed up their running back. Yes, DeAndre Swift. They beefed up at all their skill positions, and they slot in a guy like this to be the quarterback for those guys. He's going to work out. I think he's the premier prospect coming out of college. But question for you that I just saw on a podcast the other day, if he jumps in and he succeeds from the get-go, has over 30 touchdowns, 4,000 plus passing yards, leads the league in completion percentage, are we going to have to look at this guy as a system quarterback?
Caleb Williams as a system. First off, if he comes in as a rookie and he throws 30 plus touchdowns, 4,000 plus fucking yards, I mean, that'd probably be the best rookie quarterback season of all time by far. I mean, Peyton Manning threw 29 interceptions his rookie year. So yeah, if Caleb comes out and do that, no system quarterback in my eyes, that just means he's a fucking amazing player.
Well, what's the difference? What's the difference between Purdy? He came into a great situation with offensive weapons, and he came and balled out. If this guy does the same thing and comes in with offensive weapons, a good coach, is he a system quarterback? Are we going to have that conversation?
Of course we won't, right? Of course we won't, because he's the first pick and Purdy was the last pick. You and I are in complete agreement. I mean, any Niners fan who watches the games left and right, watches every play like you and I do. I mean, to call Purdy a system quarterback is childish.
It's insulting.
Ignorant, it's arrogant. It's stupid. Grow up if you're doing that. Grow up.
Say it louder.
But no, I mean, again, if you're watching the games with Purdy, his throws are on time. They're on the money. He makes people miss. He buys times. He makes the right decisions. I mean, if you're calling Purdy a system quarterback, then I don't understand the argument, because we saw Jimmy Garoppolo in the same system with the same players, and he wasn't half as good. We saw Trey Lance in the same system with the same players. He wasn't as good, right? I mean, it bothers me, because I'm like, we've seen other quarterbacks in the same situation as him, and they weren't finishing second or third in the MVP voting. They weren't taking the Niners to 13-3 seasons, back-to-back number 1 seed. I mean, it's insane. Well, 1 and a 2 seed. I mean, it's a terrible argument. I see what you're going with that.
Yeah.
Of course, people aren't going to give Caleb Williams the same because he's expected to do it. I think
right. He's the number 1 overall pick, and exactly. Purdy being the last pick in the draft was super unexpected. But sometimes people forget that some of the greatest players in NFL history, I mean, maybe not the greatest, but a guy like Tony Romo was an undrafted free agent. That's almost more impressive than what Purdy's doing, dude. He was not even drafted. He was more irrelevant than Mr. Irrelevant. So was he a system quarterback? I just don't understand the argument. And like you said, there's so many positives about Brock Purdy and the way he plays. But I digress. We're talking about the NFL draft here. So let's go back to Caleb Williams.
It's a good conversation. Well, and first off, I was going to say Justin Fields, he's got to be sad, because Justin Fields is looking at the first 3 years of his career where he was throwing to Chase Claypool and Khalil Herbert and had a terrible offensive line. And then Caleb Williams is coming into DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Bears have done a great job of surrounding Caleb Williams with weapons. And honestly, people forget the Bears defense last year finished on a really good run. I think a top 7 or top 8 defense in the league over the last probably 7-8 games. So they're actually in a pretty good position to have maybe the biggest jump in performance. And to be honest, people also forget That's not their first pick. They didn't earn that with their worst record in the league. That's the Panthers' position in the standings, right? So the Bears weren't that bad of a team to get the number 1 pick. Caleb's got to be pretty fortunate. We'll see, though. Is there some type of curse on the Bears quarterback? They haven't had a great franchise quarterback ever. I mean, Jim McMahon, Jay Cutler, those are the best quarterbacks they've ever had, right? So maybe the city's cursed. I hope not. I'm a Bears fan. They're my second favorite team. I'd love to see them succeed. We'll see how it goes this year. I will be curious. I actually don't even remember who their coach is. Is it still Eberflus?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. To be fair, that's the one thing that I think with the Purdy argument, I'm like, if you're arguing that Shanahan's an amazing play caller, he is. If you're arguing his system and his playbook are fantastic, they are, right? But again, I don't want to digress back into that. But Jimmy had the same thing. Brian Hoyer, Trey Lance, they all had the same thing. Purdy's the man. But, from a coaching perspective, that's the one thing that I think Purdy's in a much better situation for that perspective than someone like Caleb. I have not been impressed with Eberflus thus far, but we'll see how he does this year with now an offensive player like Caleb at the helm.
If I told you to guess who their all-time leading receiver was, would you say it's Johnny Morris with barely over 5,000 yards?
Oh, 5,000 yards is their all-time leader?
All-time leading receiver. I don't think they've ever had an over 1,000, maybe. Maybe Alshon Jeffrey did it, actually. He almost guaranteed did it.
Brandon
he did it a few
Marshall probably
times.
did it.
Brandon Marshall, too. But that's who I would have said.
Quick?
Yeah.
First off, when I'm looking at the positions, what are FL and LE?
Flanker. I don't know what LE is, but I know FL is flanker. That used to be like an old term for wide receiver, I guess.
Okay, I was going to make fun of the fact that their fourth leading receiver is a running back, and then I saw FL and LE.
Well, dude, Walter Payton, I mean, that guy was special.
I mean, yeah, one of the 10 greatest players of all time. So no shade to him, but I mean, still, a running back shouldn't be in your top 4, but definitely not a flanker and an LE. That's for
What do you think LE is? Like left end?
I was on wide receiver edge, but I'm like, that sounds like a pass rusher to me. I don't know.
It does.
Left eclipse. I don't know.
That's the one.
That's got to be it. I think that's how they thought in the 50s. Yeah. So we'll see what the Bears do. I mean, like I said, Jaden Daniels, I like him. I'm a little nervous about, again, a quarterback with that type of skill set and build at number 2. I think he's a good prospect. I would want a better caliber prospect if I was the GM making that pick at 2, but I still think he's good enough that he's worth that pick. Drake May, I'm not a believer yet. I'll have to see more of him. I don't love what I saw in college. I don't love the personality fits. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that can lead a locker room of NFL players, but we'll see. But yeah, I think a lot of exciting things as usual. There's one big surprise, though, that we haven't talked about that I got to talk about. Michael Penix Jr. going 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons.
What are they thinking?
After they gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year guaranteed contract. Explain it to me, please.
I don't think there's a way to explain it, but the way I'm going to rationalize it is you're trying to go the Aaron Rodgers route. You're trying to go the Jordan Love route, where obviously they sat the first 3 to 4 years of their career behind a legendary quarterback, Jordan Love, behind Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre. It's the Packers way, the last handful of, passes of the baton at the quarterback position. But it does not make sense when you go out and get a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's arguably still in his prime. He can put the ball to the wall on the field, and he needs more weapons. They just lost Dalvin Cook last year. Their other running back, Madison, wasn't great. Their wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. Shit. You're going to Scratch that. He's not on the Vikings anymore.
He's got some weapons.
He's got super weapons.
He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got Bijan Robinson. So that's what bothers me so much about the pick is, like, again, if you're going for the Packers theory, but here's the difference. The Packers drafted Aaron Rodgers 24th. The Packers drafted Jordan Love in the mid-20s. Yeah. They didn't use a top 10 pick when you got a win-now quarterback. Kirk Cousins is 35 years old. Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, they're all going into their second, third, and fourth years, right? So this is a team that Kirk came here because he thinks he can win right now. Yeah. And I think what I hate most about it is, A, I'm not 100% sold on Penix Jr., so for him to go ahead of some of those other quarterbacks, I'm a little nervous about. But then, B, I think it's the psychological message that you sent to Kirk Cousins there, because now he's going to say, what the hell? Like, reports came out that he found out about the pick 2 minutes before.
Yeah, he had no idea.
And I'm like, he's thinking, like, make this team better for me. Give me someone at 8 who's going to be a pass rusher. Give me some protection. Give me someone who's going to be a starter year 1. And you guys drafted someone who's going to maybe take my job 4 years from now.
Right.
He's got to hate that.
No, he definitely hates it. Guaranteed. And just to show who he could have taken, they could have had Roma Dunze on the outside. They could have had Fashanu at offensive tackle. They could have gotten one of the best tight ends available in history. I mean, they do have Kyle Pitts, but he's kind of been lackluster since he's been drafted. But also, he hasn't had a great situation to come into. So I think Kirk Cousins could propel him to be an elite tight end. But the point still stands. There were so many guys that could have been picked that would have been a difference maker right now, which is what the Falcons need, as opposed to Penix, which just makes no sense to me. But maybe we're wrong.
He's got to be the guy. You know, we got to move on to our fantasy draft here. But I think the last note on that is,
whoa! We didn't even talk about the Niners.
Okay, well, let's recap it. I know we're about 18 minutes into this draft topic, so let's touch on the Niners real quick. I know you've done a lot of research on our picks, so I'm going to let you lead the charge here.
Well, first we went Ricky Pearsall at the 31st slot. Initially, I will tell you, I did not like this pick. I was super confused why we went wide receiver until I took a step back, watched the guy's tape, and realized that he's a freaking dog. This guy can play. He's got some of the best hands in college football. He's one of the most athletic wide receivers of all time in terms of the raw athletic score, so take that with a grain of salt if you want to. But he can play, and we're obviously moving in the direction that we're going to get rid of Debo or Ayuk, likely Debo, probably after the end of this season, so we can pay Brock Purdy eventually. And this guy's going to be a hell of a person to slot into that wide receiver that we're getting rid of. So I like it. I don't know how you feel, but I love it.
Yeah, here's my thoughts on it, because I heard a lot of Niners fans up in arms after this pick happened originally. I'm seeing like the kind of phase 2 of this where everyone's starting to talk themselves into it. Now they're happy about it. I think here's how I look at it. I didn't study Ricky Pearsall hard at coming into this draft. Niners fans, realize this. You're amateurs. You don't do this for your day job. These guys do. And what it comes down to at the end is, do you trust John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan? I have
with my life
faith. Exactly. Like, these guys have built the best roster in the NFL, and they came into this roster from scratch. Nobody on this team right now was here when they got here. So this is all John Lynch and Shanahan's team, and they've killed it. This is by far the best roster in the entire league. Do you trust them or not? If you do, stop questioning them. Stop using your pea brain and start using your heart and just trust.
Well put. Very well put. No, the John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan were stoked. They did an interview afterwards, and they said Brandon Ayuk texted him right away. Brandon Ayuk was a teammate of Ricky Pearsall in 2019, and he said, fire pick, can't lie, which, like, fuck, I agree with, man. He took the words right out of my mouth. So first pick, I love it. Second pick, we drafted a cornerback out of Florida State, Ronaldo Green, who honestly... Position of need. Yeah, and he's a dog. He is a dog. He locked up the 6th overall pick, Malik Neighbors, to 2 catches for 20 yards. His lowest total of throughout the entire season. He held him to nothing. He's an elite press coverage corner. The Niners need a press coverage corner. We have 2 corners that are heading into a contract year after this. So it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick at all. I like the pick. It's a position of need. We've never had a top tier corner, basically ever, as long as I've been a Niners fan. I mean, you got to go back to Ronnie.
Now we do. Travis Ward.
Travis Ward is good. I have him in that tier 2 of corners. I don't have him in that like Sauce Gardner or Jalen Ramsey type category. Hopefully Ronaldo Green could be that. Obviously, that's a huge deal if you get a corner that caliber in the second round. But even in general, it's a position where you always need depth, right? Sometimes you got 4 corners on the field at once when you're in your nickel and dime packages, right? So you can't have too many good corners. So I like that pick. I also really like the pick at 3, Dominic Pooney. We do need to start having a backup plan because Trent Williams, if we're lucky, he's got 2 years left in his career. Pooney looks like a guy who could maybe take his place. I like the size, 6'5", 313 pounds. I also am a big believer in tape rather than physical attributes. And when I watch his tape, I like it. He's a guy who was first team Big 12 multiple years, right? Like, I want to see people who produced in college. It's much more rare for someone who didn't produce in college but has the physical abilities to become something to then produce in the NFL than it is a guy who has done it his whole life. And at every stage of his career, he was great. Pooney's a guy I like from that reason alone.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I'd love. Give me your input on Pooney and tell me.
No, just real quick. I think he's great. He played, I think, tackle in college, but we're going to move him to the guard position in the NFL, which is interesting because we do need help at the tackle spot. Not sure exactly which one of those is true, but I've seen conflicting reports, so we'll have to wait and see. But either way, he's going to be a difference maker, likely this year and down the stretch for a few years to come. At the 4th pick, we took a dog in Malik Mustafa. Malik Mustafa. Have you ever heard a better name in the NFL? Try me. You haven't. You honestly haven't. And here's a guy from Wake Forest that plays. He's looked at as the best tackling safety in the draft. Someone with size, speed, and plays hard, plays fast, plays physical. Something that the Niners need at the safety position, even though we're kind of set at safety. But I'll still take it.
Yeah, I think the only disappointment I have in this draft from the Niners perspective is, and you're going to be caught off guard by this, is just the fact that we didn't have any picks in the 5th round. That, for whatever reason, is our money rounds. That's where we got George Kittle. That's where we got Dre Greenlaw. That's where we got Hufanga. Like, I don't know what it is. That round has been magic for us over the years. So it has no practical, logical reason, but I am disappointed we didn't have a 5th round pick, because whoever get in the 5th round, I'm ready to buy their jersey. At this point, they're going to be an All-Pro every year.
That's good. That's a good take.
All right. Let's move on. We've done a good job in analyzing these late round picks that we didn't talk about. Isaac, Jacob, Tatum. We apologize if you catch this.
They're all great, though, dude. Let me tell you, a couple of them are fucking dogs. So sorry, we're running out of time. Let's move on to the next topic.
All right. Dylan and I put together a concept here for a hypothetical, theoretical draft. We're going to put our GM skills to the test. Now, we kind of have the answers to the test here, because we're drafting for people who are known commodities. We're taking a look at the 2000 to 2024 NFL drafts, all 24 years of it, only looking at the top 5 picks taken from each of those draft classes. And Dylan and I have made a little assignment for each other where we're going to build our own team, probably drafting somewhere between 7 and 10 players each, where we're going to build out a roster with the best players that we can, only taken from the top 5. So guys like Tom Brady, not available, okay? He was a 6th round pick. We're only looking at people who were perceived to be blue chip prospects at the time they were taken. How did they turn out? What's fun about this exercise is to see how many of these people turn out to be busts. So all you NFL fans who are getting super excited about your 1st round pick, just remember 50% of them don't work out, even in the top 5. But there's obviously a lot of home runs in this selection as also. So Dylan, I'm excited to see what kind of team you put together. I got some good notes. I'm ready to put you to the test here.
All right. You ready to get started?
Pull it up. I think you got the spreadsheet, right?
I do. And what I was thinking is we can draft all of these here. If you think it's too much, it's too much. We can take some off the board.
I saw it. I got the ammo to fill that up.
Okay. So let's get started. How do we want to do this?
We can't dive too deep on any one player, because we got to go through this fairly quick with this many picks. But just before we start, because I think there's got to be a little bit more background strategy to this. It's not just purely, best available player, best peer. Like, we're building a team the same way I view an NFL team. Some positions are much more important than others, right? Like, a running back might not be my first pick, or maybe he is. Maybe in the available players to us, there's some scarcity at certain positions. So there's a little strategy to this. Dylan, I'm willing to put it to you for whether you want to go first or not for first pick. But I did one more question. How much? Give me your NFL position rankings. I just want to know, like, which positions do you value the most? When you're building out a roster in your head, what kind of positions do you put the most weight in?
I can't tell you. Let me show you. I can't tell you, because then you're going to take my ammo. But I think we put it to a coin flip. We put it to a coin flip. What do you call?
All right, put it to a coin flip. I'm going to call.
Wait, first pick goes once, second pick gets 2, and then it's 1-1.
No, I think we just go.
Ones?
I want to go interact. Yeah, I want to go interchanging, because I want you to not. You got to draft your guy in case they're not back there on the turn.
Okay,
I'm going to call heads.
You're calling heads. Flip it. Hey, it is. Okay.
I'm so good. It was meant to be. Okay.
All right. Who's Brandon taking at the 1?
I put a lot of thought into this. And again, I'm weighting a lot of things. Value of the position, scarcity of the position, and the players available to us. This might surprise you. Maybe it doesn't. First pick in this draft, I'm going with Trent Williams.
That was my pick, dude. That was my pick. Oh, my God.
We love to hear that.
Oh, no. I
Trent
can't
Williams,
believe it.
You're getting yourself a first ballot gold jacket Hall of Famer, taken in 2010 by the Redskins, 4th overall. He's just an unbelievable player, unbelievable teammate, and he fills a massive position of need. Give me that left tackle that I'm just locking down for the next 10 years.
I can't believe you did that, dude. That is exactly who I wanted. Let's pretty thrown off now. I need to check my notes.
Okay. It landed on heads.
Oh, boy. All right. Then with my pick, I don't think this will surprise you anymore. I'm taking Joe Thomas.
Oh, great pick.
Joe Thomas is one of
the
the best linemen of all time. Yeah. He was drafted a long time ago in 2007 by the Cleveland Browns, and he was great. The team was not. So he's my pick.
Career for him as far as team success. He's a great guy, unbelievable player, great teammate. He deserved a better successful team than he got. Sorry he got stuck in Cleveland, Joe.
Yeah, that's a tough look.
That's a great pick, though. He's by far the second best tackle available in this draft. He's actually, honestly, not far off from Trent Williams. You could make the argument of Joe Thomas over Trent Williams. I'm not going to make that. Trent's the guy, but great pick. Great pick.
Hey, I do what I can.
Okay. I'm looking at, again, positional needs, scarcity of players. With the third pick in 2024 fake draft, I'm going to go with Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
I need an edge rusher. Myles Garrett is just a physical freak, yeah, a sack machine, intimidator, super talented guy. I think it's spelled with a Y, but that's okay.
And an S.
Yeah. Myles Garrett.
Is it
Might
really
as
a
well
Y?
name him Mile. He's going to take your team miles.
Also, I can't figure out how to make this black go away. I'm tripping out. There we go. Okay. We're going to strike through all of the guys.
Okay. All right. Myles Garrett taking the third pick.
Myles Garrett taking the third pick. Oh, man, you really threw me off. Then I am going to take... I think I'm going to take Lane Johnson and fill out the offensive line slot.
Okay. That was my
Lane
third tackle.
Johnson, I mean, you're not getting through this offensive line. Lane Johnson is someone that's been doing it for a long time. The guy's a freak, and I hate him because of Philadelphia. I hate the Eagles. If you're watching this, any Philly fan, you should probably leave because you're going to hear a lot of smack talk about the stupid birds. So that's my pick. Who you got next?
I understand the pick. Yeah, I think there's a big drop off between the third and then the fourth best offensive tackle in this. Lane Johnson's a good pick there. I'm looking at positional scarcity here, and there's just not a lot of linebackers worthy of anything here. But Khalil Mack listed as a linebacker in this draft here, even though, I kind of think of him as an end. He's listed as linebacker here, so I got to fill a position of need that doesn't have a lot of great depth to it. Khalil Mack taking fifth overall here.
All right. I like that pick. Khalil Mack, a guy that's been doing it for a while. He got a massive contract from the Chargers. The Raiders didn't want to pay him. Or maybe it was the Bears, actually, that paid him big.
Yeah, I think both, Bears and Chargers.
Yeah, great guy. To tag along on your pick, since the linebacker is a scarce position, I think you know who I'm going with. It's Von Miller, the guy, another guy that's been doing it for a long time. I mean, Super Bowl MVP when he won it with the Broncos. This guy is just a monster, and we like the pick.
Yep, great pick. By the way, you're going a little too far there. You knocked off the 2019 on Nick Bosa there. That's okay.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I've
been going
that's
backwards.
a good pick. To be honest, I was thinking about drafting Von Miller myself there just to fill out the linebackers because, again, there's a bit of a drop off. Oh man, now this is gets really strategic because I think we're both not drafting quarterbacks for the same reason. If I was a GM, I'd want a quarterback, but I think there's enough depth there for both of us to live.
There's so many.
Ah man. Okay, you know what? I got to do it. I'm gonna go Sean Taylor at safety.
Wow.
There's not a lot of safeties in the top five in
There's
24
two.
years.
There's only two.
There's two, and you put two positions there for safety, so I got to take one of them off the board. Now, I did want to put one caveat here. I'm hoping I can get a redo of the career of Sean Taylor. I'm not taking him for 4 seasons because, unfortunately, R.I.P.
Dude, rest in peace. Jeez.
So I'm hoping I get a redo on the lifespan of this pick here. So Sean Taylor, assuming he gets me a 10-year career, that's my pick.
And another caveat. There's not enough safeties to fill out the board. There's not enough tight ends to fill out the board. So we're going to take people from different positions to fill those needs. So with that said, I feel like I need to take Eric Berry here to once again follow your pick.
We're thinking the same here.
I mean, I have to. This is just strategy at this point. You don't play purely off your own needs. You play off how other people are doing as well.
Okay. Smart pick. I was thinking about going back-to-back safeties there, but instead what I'm going to do is fill out my probably least favorite position in this draft class, which is linebacker. So I'm taking Devin White as my second linebacker here. Great player for the Bucs. Yeah, he's a stud, fast. He flies around the field, and
still
the drop-off between him and the next best linebacker is steep. So I want to get him off the board now.
I really hate that I have to follow you in all of these picks. But I actually think there's one left on the board that you're kind of overlooking a little bit, and that's A.J. Hawk. I mean, A.J. Hawk was a monster for a while. He had a steep drop-off, but him and Clay Matthews playing up the middle was probably one of the best linebacker duos in the league at that point. Did I miss him somewhere?
He's an early guy. He's one of those drafts somewhere on the left side.
There we go.
Yeah,
he was 5th overall out of Ohio State in 2006.
Hell of a college player. I think he was a better college player than he was NFL. I think still a good pick. I actually had A.J. Hawk rated below LeVar Arrington as my last linebacker, but I did have A.J. Hawk as the 5th best linebacker there. So we're both thinking very similarly here, which shows good strategy and logic. We got to fill out these weaker positions first.
You're up.
Okay, now I got to go. Man, there's no other safeties available, so I got to do my first curveball here. For my, 4 or 5, for my 6th pick here at safety, I'm drafting Calvin Johnson, Megatron.
Calvin Johnson at safety?
Nobody's going over the top of him. Nobody's throwing the deep ball on him. He is shutting down
Oh
Any
my
deep
God.
balls, I dare you to throw a Hail Mary at the end of halftime.
Damn.
Give me Calvin Johnson in the secondary.
I hate that because I really wanted him as my tight end. Okay. I guess first I'll take the first safety or corner off the board. I'm gonna take Patrick Peterson. I think he's the best safety or corner on the board by far. Maybe I don't believe that, but
Ooh, interesting.
Not gonna give you-
I was gonna go cornerback next, and I did not have Peterson as my top ranked guy. I did have somebody else, Sauce Gardner.
you think he's better?
I think 2 years of Sauce Gardner has shown me a lot, and I think this guy is elite tier corner. One of the best we've ever seen. I mean, the fact that he was first team All Pro as a rookie is just absurd. He is an absolute stud, and we haven't even seen the best of him yet. So I'm taking him for what he is already, and what he's going to be might even be scarier.
Okay, I don't hate that pick. I guess if we're
Don't do
still going off positional scarcity,
Don't do it.
why?
I
I'm gonna
just
do
don't-
it.
Who are you taking?
It's Jalen Ramsey at corner.
Damn
again.
you! That
Yeah,
was
it's
my next
got to
pick.
be Jalen Ramsey at
That
corner.
was
The
my
guy,
next pick.
I hate Jalen Ramsey with a passion, but he is an undeniable talent out of Florida State, who also is where our corner is from, Florida State. So I'm hoping that there's some carryover there at that school with the corners.
Damn, that was my next pick because the drop off between Sauce, Patrick Peterson, and Jalen Ramsey is big on the fourth best cornerback.
Yeah.
So I'm debating taking a guy who was truly a corner, who I have ranked fourth, who I don't love, or if I'm going to use some creativity and put someone custom there as my fourth slot. This is a tough pick for me here. Whew, man, I am going to go with, you know what? It's a premier position, and there's actually a little bit more scarcity than you and I have talked about yet. I'm going to go with the wide receiver here, and I'm going Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, I think that is actually the best one off the board. Honestly, I mean,
It was a tough ranking, especially with Calvin Johnson on the board, but because I thought Calvin Johnson might be my second safety, I'm going to go Larry Fitzgerald, the receiver slot.
okay, I'll take that pick. It's pretty good. He was definitely one of my high ranking wide receivers. For me, I think now, now I got to go with the one and only Julius Peppers.
Ooh. My
Talk
number two
about a
deep.
guy that did it for a long time, dude. He was
Yes.
so good. Hall of
So good.
Famer. Hall of Famer. 2002, drafted by the Carolina Panthers. I think he was there his whole career.
He played some for the Bears,
He did. Okay, you're right.
and he
you're
was still scary there.
right. Yeah, he was a freak. Out of North Carolina, I think he's probably the best North Carolina player that's ever existed. But that's my pick.
No, it's a great pick. I had him as a second ranked defensive lineman. He's a total stud. The only reason I didn't take him earlier is because I felt like there's enough depth for me to get my second defensive lineman later, but you still need one. I don't want to risk losing him on the turn here. So I got to go with Nick Bosa as my second defensive lineman here. Second overall
Really,
pick.
really good one. Look at
Homegrown
that duo.
superstar for the Niners. Garrett and Bosa taking a draft class apart. I mean, just you love to see it.
Both Ohio State, yeah?
No,
where'd he
Myles
go?
Garrett was Texas A&M.
That's right. He just ended up in Cleveland, so I was confused.
All right. I am very curious where you and I go from here. In particular, that second corner slot for me is really scary.
Well, now I'm at an advantage, and I've kind of been an idiot because I don't need to fill out defensive line right now. I can wait on that because you're empty. You're gone. You can't take
done.
another one.
Now, maybe I'm going to take one of your guys and customize it.
You put a defensive lineman at quarterback. That would be that would certainly be a move. Okay, then I'm going to take a step here and go with. Oh, I know who I'm going with. Yeah, I do. LaDainian Tomlinson at running back.
Definitely the best running back in this draft class.
By
and by draft
far.
class, I mean 24 draft classes.
Yeah. No, we like LaDainian Tomlinson here. This is a super extreme value pick at like what, the 10th slot here. I am a Niners fan through and through, but I had a LaDainian Tomlinson poster in my room growing up because he was that sick. And if you're out there and you don't know who he is, you better recognize. You're up, Brandon.
Well said. And so just to clarify, your running back is 24?
Oh, what the?
I
That's
think
when
you copy pasted.
Oh
the
no,
field or something.
no, that's what. That's. Never mind. Nothing.
Oh, okay.
You're up.
No, great pick. I love LT. I wanted him bad. It's just the fact that there's only one running back slot and there's a couple other running backs I can take.
Yeah.
Even if you get creative, I think I got some room there. But I would have loved to have LT on my team because he's by far one of the best running backs of all time. He really dominated the early 2000s. I am going to go with I'm going to fill out the receiver slot here, I think, because there's only really two guys I love left, and you got two slots. So I'm going to go with Jamar Chase as my second wide receiver here.
Whoa. Okay. Larry Fitz and Jamar.
Interesting. Okay, so you didn't have Jamar Chase that high. I wonder what you're thinking for the receiver class here.
I did not have Jamar Chase going that high, but that's a guy who's been undeniably good for a long time now.
You know what? Well, I won't say anything.
Okay.
I'll save it. Strategy.
Who do I want here? Let me take a look at what I got. I'm gonna go with. Oh boy, this is a tough one, and I think it's gonna surprise a lot of people at this spot, especially because I don't have to. But I just want to be a little different here. Andrew Luck, who I think would have been a Hall of Fame quarterback had he not retired early. Taken first overall by the Colts in 2012. He was setting records. He was on pace to be one of the greatest of all time and decided to call it quits. Good for you. I love Andrew Luck. I think he's one of the best, and I'm happy that he's on my team. Look at that backfield. Are you kidding me?
He's the best quarterback available here. I think Andrew Luck's the best quarterback prospect ever. I think he and like LeBron James are like the two most assured things type of draft prospects of all time. I love him. I wish he hadn't retired early because I just love him. I love everything about him. He's got the skill set, the physical stature, and most importantly, the mental side and personality. Great pick. Yeah, only because there's a couple other quarterbacks that I could have fallen back there. I'm not taking my quarterback yet, but I had Luck as my number one guy, and you got a stud. You got a stud at the helm.
I sure did.
All right, here's where we got to get interesting. Am I going running back? Am I going tight end here? I think I'm going to go running back just because there's not a lot left that I love, and I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. But I'm in the backfield.
Pick. That was
second
I think,
overall
my
pick
second.
a few years ago, and he is what he is. He's a little injury prone for me, but if I'm only getting one healthy season out of him, I feel good about it.
And he's on the Eagles now, so he's kind of dead to us. But I'm surprised, no, he was the second best one on the board. There's Cadillac Williams, there's Jamal Lewis.
Lewis, I had his third.
Both great. And then maybe Zeke. I mean, he was pretty dominant early on.
Zeke's first 4 or 5 years are pretty elite.
Hard to beat, honestly. He was super, super good.
His rookie year in particular.
But most running backs
he
fall
dominated.
off. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay, my pick. I'm gonna surprise folks here. I'm going tight end, but I'm putting Andre Johnson.
I knew you were going to do it. That's the one I said I was going to hold on to earlier. Because when you got surprised when I drafted Jamar Chase, I was like, he must be thinking Andre Johnson. Should I say it? And I was like, what about my tight end slot? So good pick.
Yeah, he's great. And he threw punches. Haymakers.
Yeah, he really dominated the league for a long stretch. I think a lot of people thought of him as the best receiver in the league for probably like 5+ years running. His numbers at the end of his career probably aren't even as huge as they could have been. He never really had that dominant quarterback to play with. I mean, he's catching passes from Matt Schaub and the likes, but yeah, he's a physical specimen. Great player.
Absolutely. Who you got?
I have been holding on to this one as my curveball. I think I can keep holding on to it at least one more pick because I can't imagine you're going to steal it. I'd be shocked and floored and upset if you did. So I need to draft my second corner, and it's just a matter of who the heck do I put there? I got to do something crazy here. I can't go Quentin Jammer. He's the 4th best corner here, but I don't want him. He's not good enough of a player. I got to do something bizarre, and I'm doing Marvin Harrison Jr., put him as my second corner. I'm taking the athletic ability, the body control, the fluid hips, and the length. I got 2 tall, 6'2+ cornerbacks, athletic freaks. Marvin, you never even got to play receiver in the NFL. I'm putting you right in at corner.
I'm going to tell you straight up, that's a crazy pick. That is a crazy
Who
pick.
would you have taken? Who would have been your 4th cornerback taken here?
I'm not going to tell you.
The corners are off the board. But you still got a safety, I guess.
Yeah, I do have a safety. But I guess at corner, who was even left? It was really just Patrick Peterson and Jalen Ramsey. I like Denzel Ward. I like Jeff Okudah. I think they're great. Stingley could be really good too. But yeah, there is kind of a steep drop off.
I probably should have gone Stingley. That maybe was a mistake. Sorry, MHJ. You're out of position now.
Dude, he's good. He's really good.
He is good.
Okay, at safety, wow. Not much left here. At safety, I think I'm going to go. There's two guys I'm thinking of here. And one, I'm going to go AJ Green.
AJ Green.
AJ Green at safety. I don't think he has that quick of hips or that quick of feet necessarily. He's kind of a long stride guy that can get deep fast, but he's tall. He's going to take away the deep throw. He's just not going to be a hitter. The other guy that I wanted at my safety position, which I think I'm safe saying now, was Reggie Bush. I think that guy's built like a tank. He's athletic. He's fast. He's quick, and he's
low to
hard.
the ground.
Yeah, he's really low, and I think
probably. That's a good. Yeah, I should have taken him instead of MJ. I mean, to be honest, I should have taken Derek Stingley. I should probably have taken him an actual corner, but I don't need the pick there. All right, we got to start stretching into our weird territory here. There's only 2 picks left for my team. 3 picks left for my team. I'm gonna go tight end. Who do you think? There's no way you're gonna guess who I'm going here.
At tight end?
I'm just gonna tell you.
Okay.
Tight end. We're going Cam Newton. He was miscast as a quarterback. He's got the body control. He's athletic. He's 6'6", 250 plus. He is built like an unbelievable specimen tight end. He just got miscast as a quarterback. I mean, he won an MVP, so obviously he probably did well for himself as a quarterback. But Cam Newton at tight end, I like that pick.
I like the pick a lot. That's a very interesting one. And I'm just realizing I have 2 wide receivers, but no wide receivers off my board. I have made a mistake. Oh boy, who's even left here? I guess I have to go.
You got no receivers left. Maybe that was the strategy of my MHJ pick at corner.
Oh boy, my wide receivers are gonna be stinky, poopy. I think I'm gonna go Braylon Edwards. I think that's the only like. Ooh. What, you don't like Braylon Edwards? He was good.
I mean, just the caliber of players we're drafting here. He's a steep drop off. He was great in college.
I mean, what you gonna do?
He was underwhelming in the pros.
Yeah, he went to the Browns, dude.
He had a couple years of the Niners. What did he do? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. All right, we got 2 picks left each.
2 picks left each. I guess I'm going to go offensive line. Not that you're going to steal it. You know what? No. It's the most important position. I got to go quarterback. Jamarcus Russell. It's the one and only. Kidding.
Dude, oh my God. I thought you were really going for that.
Your face.
Yeah, we got to clip
Joe Burrow. It's got to be Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. You love Joe Burrow.
Come on. I mean, he's an elite player. He's got the right makeup. He's got the talent. I think the reason I didn't have to go quarterback early is because Andrew Luck and him were such sure things. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of good quarterbacks here that we didn't even have to take a look at. Stafford, Cam Newton, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance, right? Trevor Lawrence. I mean, so anyway, but Joe Burrow, I think Andrew Luck, just a tier, maybe even 2 tiers above all the other quarterbacks available.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. I think my next one is pretty obvious-ish. I'm going Jadeveon Clowney at defensive line. He is one of the best linemen that we've seen in the last couple of years, maybe for like a short period. But when he's on, and he's one of the best college prospects, high school prospects, the league and college has ever seen. This guy played halfback and he played defensive line in high school, similar to Vita Vea. But I think his rushing stats in high school, he had like 3,000 yards and like 55 touchdowns or something because no one could stop him. So I'm feeling pretty good about that pick. Tell me who you were taking at offensive line to round out your draft.
Nothing exciting here. I was thinking about getting creative and maybe using one of my D-line guys because there's a couple D-line guys I actually had a Clowney there for your pick. But I'm just going to go Jake Long. There's either Jake Long or Eric Fisher. I think I'm going to go Jake Long here.
Both of them would have been great. I think Brandon Scherf would be a good pick too, actually.
Yeah, but he's more of a guard, and I like tackles more. So
was he even on this list? Actually, yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so unexciting, but we're going Jake Long, the last pick. I would have loved to have Lane Johnson or Joe Thomas, and just really had that unbelievable line. But I'm happy with my team.
All right, I think you have a pretty strong team. With my last pick, I have to fill out the wide receiver position, and we're kind of looking slim here. But there's a couple of sneaky good picks actually here. I think I'm going to go with, just as a prospect alone, not necessarily based on his NFL production so far, I'm going to go Kyle Pitts.
What?
But, bro, he was one of the best tight ends. He's the only tight end drafted.
He's terrible at the position he does play.
No, because he's on the Falcons. Watch him ball out this year with an actual quarterback. He hasn't had a quarterback his entire NFL career. And he was great in college. he's going to be great at the next level just as soon as he gets put in the right slot. But the other wide receiver I was thinking about taking at that slot was Michael Vick or Jaden Daniels, which would have been very interesting. Both of them speedsters that Brandon doesn't like, but they're great.
God, that receiver room is hurt. Braylon Edwards and Kyle Pitts looking at Andre Johnson and AJ Green playing other positions.
Dude, maybe they can play both sides of the ball.
No cheating. That's your receiver room right there.
All right, so I think we go through and see who got the better pick on each side. I think quarterback, I got
edge.
that.
Tiny edge to you there, yeah.
Okay. Here, I still think I got it.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Prove me wrong. If you don't believe
No. LT was my number one running back. You got me there. It's a double win. It's a double whammy.
It's a double whammy. This is interesting. I think I take it because he's an actual offensive player that catches the ball. Cam Newton could be great, but I think Andre Johnson at tight end would have had just as successful of a career.
I'll give it to you, but begrudgingly.
This is a coin flip.
It's mine. It's the first pick of the draft. You said he was your first pick of the draft. Don't even try it.
All right, that's a pretty good point. That's a pretty good point. But it's interesting that we both went into it knowing we were going to take offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the top two guys in this entire thing. Would you have taken Joe Thomas second?
I think he was my second overall pick. Yeah, if you had done Trent Williams, I would have done the same thing as you.
Just dominant at that position.
Dominant.
Lane Johnson
and
and
what I love
Jake
about
Long.
offensive linemen is their careers are long, right? You get a running back and they got like a 5-year window.
Yeah.
But the longest tenured positions in the NFL is quarterback and offensive line, offensive tackle. I'm like, if I'm the GM building out a team, give me a tackle who's going to be on my team for 10 plus years.
No, that's why I like Joe Alt so much. I mean, the guy, he's going to have a career just like Joe Thomas, just like Lane Johnson, just like Trent Williams. But now it brings us to the second offensive line position.
I'm going to give it to you. You got that.
Thanks, Dad. Julius Peppers and Myles Garrett. This is a tough one.
I mean, very subjective here. I took Myles Garrett with Peppers available, so in my eyes, Garrett's the better pick here.
But he's a proven 17-year vet Hall of Famer.
But that's different. We're not talking about that. It's got to be just, and I don't know what the right answer is here. Right, this one could go either way.
Should we just put both of them?
Yeah, neutral.
Do orange.
I'm taking the Bosa pick though. Bosa over Clowney. Defensive player of the year. Yeah. Clowney's never even been close to that.
It's hard to fight that one. Von Miller, Khalil Mack. Again, you took Khalil with Von on the board, but I think Von is the better, longer player.
I mean, yeah, but again, like, are we measuring just how good they were at like their peak 5-year window or who had the better, longer career? Because if that was the case, I would have drafted Eli Manning. Joe Burrow. I think that's a neutral. I think we crossed each other out there. Yeah. And I think I got you Devin White over AJ Hawk.
Do you think so?
I think so for sure. Yeah.
I'll give it to you, but I think it's closer than you want to admit. Here, I think you have to go Patrick Peterson. Sauce Gardner, sure, is like one of the best.
He's only had
right
2
now.
years, so I'll give it to you, but we'll have this conversation again in 8 years' time, and I think I'll be the winner.
Okay. Hopefully this podcast is still alive. Jalen Ramsey and Marvin Harrison Jr. at corner.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I win that. Eric Berry and Sean Taylor. I think you have to go Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor and his I mean, physical
Both
intimidator, just destroy people, big hits. Yeah.
Both of them actually had pretty short careers for different reasons, but both of them were like in the beginnings of their careers were some of the best players in the NFL at the time.
For sure.
And Eric Berry, dude, he just missed out on that Chiefs dynasty, like by a handful of years.
He did.
Here we go.
It's got to be Calvin.
It's got to be Calvin.
CJ. It's got to be.
There's
no way you're going over the top.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 greens. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 greens.
Ooh.
Is that 7? Yeah, that is. So 7 plus 2 each. Pretty close.
I got you. Great draft, sir.
Wow. I want to screenshot this.
Let's let the viewers vote, though. Let's let the viewers decide here, especially some of these tiebreakers that we got.
Who's this?
Von Miller
Are you Anonymous Coyote?
No.
Who is Anonymous Coyote?
Wait, unless that's like just the generic name. Oh, that is my thing. I think that must just be the name it gives you.
Freaked me out. First podcast getting hacked. Yeah, I think this is a good draft. I think it was a pretty fun activity. I'm curious what people think, and
viewers tell us what you think.
I think it's crazy that you took Marvin Harrison Jr. That's funny.
I honestly, that was a mistake pick. That was a mistake.
I think it was a mistake too.
I wasn't going to beat Jalen Ramsey with whoever I took at that last corner slot. Give me some of the names. And we got to wrap this up because we're going a little longer. But give me some of the names of the people that didn't get drafted that you had in your draft board. I'll start. One I had was Justin Smith at defensive line.
I had him too.
Unbelievable player on the Niners. That Harbaugh era, he was such a beast. Great player, long career. I like Justin Smith. Do you have any others?
Guys like Carson, Eli, and Phillip Rivers, but really there were two guys that I thought were going to be the picks. It was Cam Newton and Andrew Luck. You surprised me with Joe Burrow. You surprised me even more with the Cam Newton pick at the tight end slot. I mean, there was a bunch of linemen I had, like Eric Fisher, Brandon Scherf, Joe Alt. I almost took actually because I'm that high on him. No
Who
real
else did you have in your tight end
linebackers.
slot? I had Leonard Fournette and Joe Thomas as potentially other tight ends.
Joe Thomas would
Joe
not
Thomas.
have made a good tight end. He was not
Oh my
mobile
God.
enough. No way.
Pull up a picture of Joe Thomas and what he looks like now. He's skinny. He's
Well,
a lean machine.
what he is now, come on, that's different.
Well, he was building his body for one position. He could have reformed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think defensive line was like the deepest position outside of quarterback. So I had a ton of guys checked off on there that obviously weren't going to get picked. I think Will Anderson's a real deal.
Look at this 2011 draft class. We got 3 of the 5 off the board.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Von Miller, AJ Green, Patrick Peterson, and I
Wait,
but
4 because you don't have Cam Newton marked off. So we have 4 of the 5.
oh, what?
Wow, 2011 draft class. What a year. I also, when I was looking at this, I did think the 2004 draft class was interesting. I mean, Eli Manning, Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, and Sean Taylor. That's a really strong.
That's
first
an
5 picks.
unbelievable draft. My
And then look how
goodness.
bad the following years was. Alex Smith, Ronnie Brown, Brandon, Cedric Benson, Cadillac Williams. It's funny to look back at this and just see, like, again, fans who get super excited about every draft pick your team makes, the odds are a lot of these guys aren't going to be great players. And
Were Jake Long
Even
and
in
Chris
top
Long
5.
brothers?
No. But Chris Long does have a brother who was in the NFL, also Kyle Long, who was the
Is that
tackle for the Bears.
Okay. Wow, look at Glenn Dorsey, huh?
Yeah, Glenn Dorsey was a good player. That's a good draft class too. That 2008 run.
Wow, now I'm having fun looking through all these draft class. I think there's a lot of
2016 is pretty good. I mean, Jared Goff, Joey Bosa, Zeke, Jalen Ramsey. That's a solid first 5.
yeah, that is. This one's terrible. Miles
God.
Garrett is in it, but Trubisky, Solomon Thomas, Corey Davis, all bust. Leonard Fournette,
Yeah, that was
borderline bust. This is a pretty decent one. Clelin Ferrell's now on the 49ers.
Yeah.
This one was terrible. Trey Lance, man.
God, and Zach Wilson at number 2. I mean, yikes! Guy
Crazy.
didn't even
That's
get
like-
his 5th-year option picked
This
up.
this may be one of the worst top 5 draft picks like maybe ever. Trevor Lawrence is not really panning out. He's fine. Zach Wilson sucks. Trey Lance sucks. Kyle Pitts hasn't done anything yet. He made my board.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Dude, I
Don't talk
truly
about
think
your
he could be
second
good.
receiver like that.
I think he could be good.
Yeah, people have been saying that for 3 years.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I think we should maybe wrap this up. What do you say?
We got to wrap it up, but thank you if you watched the Technically Free Agents podcast, TFA for short. We're really excited to bring episode 1 to you. We're only going to get better as time goes, so we're really excited. I hope you come back and watch episode 2. Go check it out.
Goodbye.
Technically, we are free agents.